Hi, welcome to Gurong Vlogger ng Kuwait, the charity channel of pies. So today we are going to be discussing lesson 4, the dimensions of communication. So, dimensions of communication. It sounds strange, doesn't it? Well, another word for dimension is feature. Think of communication as a video. A video is made up of pretty much two things: visuals and audio. So, communication, do you remember what we discussed last time? The three main types of communication, which are verbal, nonverbal, and visual. So, think of it as combining these different types of communication in order to state one main message. Like, for example, when we talk, we don't only just use our mouths to speak, but we also use gestures and maybe even pictures to further illustrate what idea we're trying to convey. Ever heard of the saying, actions speak louder than words? Well, this topic is a lot like that in a sense. But the only thing is that you have to coordinate your actions with your words in order to make your message clearer. Doing this will help prevent misunderstandings. So let's move on to the 4 dimensions of communication.
Good morning, class. So today I'll be explaining verbal and non-verbal communication. So first of all, what is verbal communication? Verbal communication is the use of words to share information with other people. It can therefore include both spoken and written communication. However, many people use the term to describe only spoken communication. The verbal element of communication is all about the words that you choose and how they are heard and interpreted. So here are 5 features of verbal communication. First is appropriateness, and second is brevity. Third is clarity. Fourth is ethics, and fifth is vividness. Number 1 is appropriateness. The language that you use should be appropriate to the environment or occasion, for example, whether it's formal or it's informal. Number 2 is brevity. Brevity speakers who often use simply yet precise and powerful words are found to be more credible. Number 3 is clarity. The meaning of words, feelings, or ideas may be interpreted differently by a listener. Hence, it is essential for you to clearly state your message and express your ideas and feelings. Number 4 is ethics. Words should be carefully chosen in consideration of the gender, preference, and status of the person or people you are talking to. And number 5 is vividness. Words that vividly or creatively describe things or feelings usually add color and speed to communication. Now let's talk about nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication refers to an interaction where behavior is used to convey and represent meanings. All kinds of human responses that are not expressed in words are classified as nonverbal communication. And there is 4 types of nonverbal communication. Number 1 is facial expression, and number 2 is body movement and posture. Number 3 is gesture, and number 4 is eye contact. First is facial expression. The human face is extremely expressive, able to convey countless emotions without saying a word. And unlike some forms of non-verbal communication, facial expressions are universal. The facial expressions for happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear. are the same across cultures. Number 2 is body movement and postures. Body movement includes gestures, postures, head and hand movement, or whole body movements. Body movements can be used to reinforce or emphasize what a person is saying and also offer information about the emotions and attitudes of a person. However, it is also possible for body movements to conflict with what it is said. And number 3 is gestures. Gestures are a form of nonverbal communication in which visible bodily actions are used to communicate important message either in place of speech or together and in a parallel with spoken words. Gesture includes movement of hands, face or other part of the body. Number 4 is eye contact. Eye contact is a key characteristic of nonverbal communication. Expresses such without using a single word in American culture. Maintaining eye contact shows respect and includes interest. And that's it for my part. Thank you so much for listening.
Next, we will talk about oral and written dimensions. There are several differences that contrast oral and written communication. Sometimes they're easy to tell or differentiate, but there's more to that. Oral communication is really just talking to others. Through oral communication, you can share ideas, communicate your thoughts and exchange information, give orders and persuade people, and probably some more others that you can think of, as long as you are speaking. Because of that, there are many things that we can accomplish through oral communication. The same applies to written communication. It's pretty effective as well, but in a different way. So, what is written communication then? Obviously, from its name, written communication means communicating through others through the written word. This can be done in many ways, such as email, text messaging, sending cards and letters, newspapers and magazines, and the list goes on and on. Now you can tell there are obvious differences, but I'll give an example to make it clearer. So, you know how in text you can't really read the person's mood because you aren't able to see nor read through their emotions in text, like their facial expressions. That's what we call the written dimension of communication. Usually since the pandemic or even before that, we all have been using text to talk with others from a long distance, and that is an advantage. But with the oral dimension of communication, talking or communicating face to face with people, you are able to read their emotions and how they truly respond or react to what you are saying.
Next is formal and informal dimension. Formal dimension refers to the flow of official information through proper, predefined channels and routes. The flow of information is controlled and needs deliberate effort to be properly communicated. Informal communication, on the other hand, involves unsanctioned informal communication between organizational members and can flow in any direction. Examples of formal dimension are requests, commands, orders, and reports. And examples for the informal dimension are sharing of feelings, casual discussions, and gossips.
Lastly, we have the fourth dimension of communication, intentional and unintentional. This dimension is based on the idea that everything is done for a reason. So, there are times when people misunderstand their intentions, and this may be due to the different thought processes and opinions of different people, and because we're all different people, we all have different perspectives. This may also be because of the circumstances in which the situation happened. For example, imagine a man in his 30s find a little girl, maybe around 6 years old, lost on the street. So imagine that he asks her if she wants his help in finding her parents or to call the police for her. So he grabs her hand and takes her somewhere to wait. But while he is doing that, the parents of the kids come. The parent of the child comes and accuses him of kidnapping when in fact he did that with good intentions. So this is what we mean by intentional and unintentional dimension. So depending on the circumstances, there are people who may misunderstand you. Like, for example, you're a person who says sarcastic stuff, like a good lot of the time. And since it's the pandemic, you can only message your friends mainly through text. So imagine texting them, sending a lot of sarcastic messages, but they think you're being literal because they couldn't hear your sarcastic tone, which is something that you'd often hear in audio in combination with facial expressions and gestures. So today we figured out that the dimensions of communication is important because it's basically combining different methods of communication in order to convey a message clearly, and that there are 4 dimensions of communication: verbal, nonverbal, formal, informal, written, oral, and intentional and unintentional. So good luck. Till we meet again. Bye.
That's it for today. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye.